Aloha, everybody. We've got the amazing Leeza Robertson here with us today to talk about her Cirque du Tarot. I'm just setting up my phone to be the extra camera so we can look at the cards better. But while I do that, will you tell us a little bit about the background and the inspiration?
Cirque is my baby. I think of all the decks I've done, this one, well, obviously, I have it, the deck of my heart is still in progress, but Cirque is definitely my tarot baby. I wanted to do something really different with a tarot deck, and I wanted to get deeper into the whole idea of tarot and divination and spirituality and humanity being a show, and that there are different elements to what a show is. Sometimes we're in the audience and we have a viewer perspective. Sometimes we're on the stage and we are playing, and sometimes we're behind the scenes. And I like to think of that as, maybe the personal self, the self that the public doesn't get to see. It's behind the curtain. And I also wanted to take gender out of the court cards. I really wanted...
What you did with the court cards.
Thank you. I wanted a non-binary process for the court cards, as opposed to having these gendered alignments. Because I know for me personally, when I was learning tarot, the gender in the court cards actually really threw me. And it was one of the things, and I do talk about it a little bit in the court cards book, but it was one of the things that has always bugged me, I guess, as a queer person, as a lesbian woman, that these powerful male cards had to actually mean a male, like some other male, and they couldn't be an aspect of myself. Just the same as I had some gay friends say, like, well, why can't I be the Queen of Pentacles? Like, why the hell does that have to be someone in my life? So, like, I really wanted to do something that was really true to my life experience and a bit of, and my academic background. And I just happened to get really freaking lucky that when I pitched the idea, Llewellyn was like, if you can pull that off in a deck, let's do it.
Oh, I love that. It took me a minute to get used to the deck itself, because there is so much that's like unique and also part of a scene that, like, once I got used to it, I was just like, oh, of course, I love it.
Yeah, I think this is going to end up becoming like my teaching deck, like when I'm doing talks for a tarot or anything like that. Like, I think this is actually going to become my primary teaching deck because of the way that we have structured this deck so much. As you said, there's a lot going on. There's the show of the wands, there's the set of the cups, there's like all this incredible dynamics that takes place, to me, that is part of the process of personal exploration into the cards, as opposed to reading them with a one and done meaning, which, to be honest, I think postmodern tarot has evolved beyond the one and done meaning, right? I think we're beyond the one and done, let's flip a card and it has to mean this particular thing. We're now looking for a level of engagement that is experiential to who we are, the journey we're on, and the resolutions that we are seeking in our right now experience. And that's what I wanted Cirque to be.
So I see that Selkie's asking what the deck is. It's Cirque du Tarot. Leeza Robertson here designed it, and the artist is Josh Tufts. Let's say hello to a few people while we're here. Selkie was the first one in. Asphasia Raising. Hi, Beth. Oh, she has the deck and guidebook next to her right now. Aloha Patrice. And Tony, Antoinette Intuitive Tarot and Jewelry. Asel, hello. To Roast Ash. Hello, Gerald. I'm also getting ready for a dentist appointment, so I won't be chatting. Well, hopefully we'll take your mind off this. Aloha, Regina. Listening and working, she says. So, I already have a few comments here. Patrice says, I so appreciate Leeza's contribution to our tarot community. Yes, definitely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's see. I thought I saw another one. Aha. Tony says, the art world's beautiful. I just hope Amazon ships it soon. I guess Amazon doesn't have a supply at the moment. Let's get the cards up on the screen. Let's see here. Over here.
Oh, look, we're splitting apart like this.
There we go.
I felt like we were just shuffled. Which square did you pick? That's your divination for the day.
Let's see. Zoom in a little bit.
So someone just talked about the artwork. Yeah, the artwork is fantastic. So let's talk about the artwork, because when I first wrote and designed this deck, I actually wanted it to have like a comic book superhero feel to it. Like, that's what I was thinking for this deck. And this is where sometimes your publisher knows better than you, right? So I went in with this pitch and I was like thinking about artists like Jen Bartel, and she had just done this amazing work for Marvel. And I was like, yeah, that would be fantastic for this deck. That would work really, really well. Right. And Llewellyn's like, yeah, no. We're going to go like this whole other way with the images. and then we found Josh, and he came in, and as you can see, like his whole surreal dreamscape imagery like really makes the deck. So I'm glad nobody listened to me on that respect.
Well, they listen to you as far as the book goes, right?
Right.
Under the big top.
Yeah,
that was probably edited, I'm guessing.
Pardon?
It was edited.
Oh God, yeah. Like stuff that goes to Llewellyn is like not only just edited, like it's gone through rigorous like cycles of proofreading, copy, line editing, revisions, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, like
a ton. Let's see. I was trying to find a page. Looks like 192 pages in the book. And he also includes several, 4 spreads, which is nice. I love when decks come with spreads specific to the deck. And for those of you who aren't seeing it is full color. But let's get to the cards. So we start with the Fool, who is riding in on a fantasy beast of some kind.
I think it's like a giant dog. I don't know. Like I think I did say, like in the art description, the Fool enters the stage riding some fantastical creature or something. So like,
right.
Or ride. No, maybe I did say riding a dog, because one of the things that I still want to have, even as we kind of like explore the different visual narrative of the cards, is to still have nods to the traditional decks. So it is one of those things where, even though I do believe that, as I said, postmodern tarot is moving into more of an experiential experience, that something is not quite as static and limited and contrived as, say, the original decks. That we still give nods and honor to the lineage. So like I do like to have these little symbols that run through, and that's true with like all of my decks. Like even the obscure one, even some of the more obscure artworks, which you guys haven't actually seen too much of yet, but some of the decks that are coming up, there's still these we're still respecting the lineage. We're still allowing the story of the Rider-Waite-Smith to come through, and the thoughts and the feelings of both the creator and the artist of the original decks.
Aloha, Chris. So the only thing it said was the magical beast was bringing the fool from behind the curtain to the world of the stage.
Mm-hmm. Which is us, right? That's us. That's how we begin our journey here as humans. We have some sort of magical spark that illuminates, that connects the soul to physical form, and boom, we land on the stage of life, kicking and screaming for the most part. He looks like he's doing it much more gracefully than probably how most of us were brought here.
And then we have the magician, which looks like it's actually the fool on top of the hat.
There's a lot of, because this is a show, we do have a lot of repetition. So like the ringmaster's in quite a lot of the cards. You'll see some returning characters. Because as I said, I wanted it to look, I did want to keep the show element, the circus element to it. So we, if you go to a show, like there's repeating characters. It's a narrative, it's a story.
Right. Well, and you really put that forward in the minors. Yeah. So yes, and I love that the top hat is the same top hat that the ringmaster is wearing.
So all of these little reoccurring and returning elements all the way through, just to keep the narrative and the flow going. I think, because one of the things that I don't think a lot of people know is when I sit down and research a deck, I don't just research nonfiction. Like I do a lot of fiction reading. So I do sit down and I'm like, okay, when I was doing this deck, I went and I picked up as many fiction books that were written on circuses or had a circus theme or had a show theme or a carnival theme to them, so that I could get a sense of the narrative structure and the character arcs for the deck and the stories that we were telling.
Oh, I love that. And you can definitely see them as it progresses. Right. I mean, here's the fool again playing the servant for the empress. He was just eating her cake, right?
That empress is just like, had enough.
Ringing the bell. Someone else take care of it.
She's like, I'm done.
And then we have the larger than life emperor.
Yeah, which I really like, to me was a bit of a nod to the mythology of the emperor or mythology of emperors or the pedestals we put the gods upon. And, the little fool down the bottom making complete and utter mockery of him. Like, well, down here on Earth, it's a little bit different.
I can do that too. And then the Hierophant is actually the stage manager.
Yes. Yeah, the stage manager. I think the Hierophant is actually one of my favorite cards to design, because to me there is this element of the wisdom keeper, the story writer, the record keeper, the one with the wisdom kind of really does control the show. So like she has all her little stage notes and her little Apple pencil, and she's like trying to like make sure everyone's doing what they're meant to be doing and keeping on task and learnt their lines and knows what the hell's going on.
You really get the sense of a conductor's baton with that.
Right.
Beth wants to know if anyone else is losing connection. I'm not noticing any hiccups here. The lovers, here we have a backstage scene.
Yeah, the quiet, personal moments that the world doesn't get to see. That was important to me to have with this deck too, because I think with the birth of social media and so much being available, so much of ourselves tends to be available, and people expect a certain level of ourselves to be available, that it's okay to have stuff that nobody else sees, that it is behind the cameras and behind the screens and behind closed doors, and that's all right. So I love this beautiful little intimate moment we have here with the lovers.
And if you've actually gone through the deck, you know that these are two of the actors that play the courts.
Mm-hmm.
I love this chariot.
Pull me.
Cool.
She's being, I love the fact that the ringmaster is being serenaded by the fool. Like, you know, he's the whole point of the fool's, like, we talk about the fool's journey in tarot. We talk about it a lot, but we don't really explore the playfulness of that journey in the cards, which is another reason, like, this, seeing him pop up in some of these very, you know, action packed or energy inspired cards to me is really important, because the major arcana is his journey. So here he is riding along in the chariot, like, you know, singing a song. And I've got to say, I love the Witcher inspiration of this. Like, is there are there any Witcher fans here with the minstrel?
I finally started watching season 2. And then we have strength, which I love because it's an acrobatic show. Instead of, like, you'd think it'd be like the lion show or something, like the big cat show. But this, I don't know, this says so much more in a way than just, you know, like the cat person with the whip or
This card was actually inspired from a Cirque du Soleil performance. So I actually went and saw Mystere. I've seen quite a few because I live in Vegas. So, like, when my wife was a limo driver, we used to get a lot of free tickets. But there's a scene in Mystere where they have the strongmen, but they're doing this kind of stuff. And one of the things that really hit me while I was watching it live was the incredible vulnerability and trust that the performers and the acrobats have in the person that's holding them. And that was like, when I saw it, and it actually wasn't, they didn't look like this, but when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that is like the perfect personification of what strength is: vulnerability, trust, openness.
yes.
Like, you know, that scary moment of this could all go horribly wrong. So that's where that card
Wow.
was really inspired from.
And I've seen a lot of the Cirque du Soleil shows in Vegas myself because my mother-in-law was there before she passed, and so my stepfather-in-law still lives there, so occasionally we'll go over there. But yeah, I've seen, and I agree with you that that kind of strength that is able to do this show where it's like you're holding another person up and it's like graceful instead of like it, and yet knowing that at any minute that person could fall if they didn't have complete trust in each other, right?
Right,
Know
right.
how to read each other. So yeah.
And it's also kind of intimate. Like, I think we forget that about the strength card too. There's an intimacy to the strength card, even in the original, between the lion and the angel. Like, there is something deeply, that's an intimate, vulnerable moment that we're having access to.
Here we have the Hermit. It's almost like an intermission moment in the circus.
The stage is flooded. Where the hell did everybody go? I'm over here if you need me. Seat
Right.
number 35 this way. Yeah. No. I just really like the idea of, like, I don't know, having the hermit floating around in water and umbrella. It to me, like, the hermit is also the beacon of our spiritual adventure, and sometimes that spiritual, the thing that got us onto the spiritual path, can be a storm. Like, it can be uncharted waters, as we see here, and having that beacon of light and having that hermit, like, hold that light up. And I know in the traditional one there's a star on it, so, like, we're connecting this back to the star, to the actual mapping, the guiding light, the light in the storm upon the first steps of the spiritual path. So that was also part of what was happening with the overall design of this card as well.
We got the Wheel of Fortune, which is the
I love this because I love the kind of hit and miss of this card. Like I think we've gotten a little stuck on the Wheel of Fortune means good luck, whereas
right,
you know it really is the Wheel of Fate. You might hit it,
right.
you might not hit it. You might hit it once, you may never hit it again. Like the Wheel of Fortune is a game of chance as much as it is a reminder of the cycle of change.
Right.
So you know, again, I just wanted to play around with some of these elements, and I don't think you can see it quite so good here, but and it is kind of small, but in the middle of the star, the main star on the wheel is actually the original Wheel of
Oh, I
Fortune
see.
symbols.
Wait, let me see.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. And then I was gonna say is that there's an archer down there.
There's an archer down there. They're telling him where to shoot his arrow. Shoot it over here. Shoot it up here. Shoot it over here.
So many details. Yeah. Then we have justice.
You know, one of the things I love to play around with justice, and it probably gets me into, listen, some of my interpretations of the cards probably does get me into trouble, like hence my hate post from someone this morning. But again, I think we need to like bring some of these meanings of what does justice mean into a deeper experiential level of where we are in the world and how it plays out in our lives. You know, and for me, justice is not necessarily about fair, like fair for one person. Like the outcomes have to benefit everybody involved, right? Not just a single entity. It's not, we're not looking for a selection of bias here, but depending on what other cards pop up with justice, maybe it's a biased ruling. So, you know, the fact that we have this guide kind of like tossing, and most of my justice cards are similar, where we're seeing, you know, very, very old mythological interpretations of what does it mean to be someone who is unbiased, is pure, is compassionate, is loving, is all kind of like the precepts that we think about when we think about being a spiritual awakened person. So like here we have, you know, the fool and his dog, and he's like, so which one of you is gonna win? Which one of you is the most worthy, right?
Who am I gonna throw my coin to?
Who am I gonna throw my coins to?
The hang. Oh, this reminds me of another Cirque du Soleil show that I saw.
Actually, this one was not inspired by Cirque du Soleil. This was just like this is like a throwback to my surrealist days in art school. It's like, what would Salvador Dali do to the hanged man? Oh, he'd probably put him in a giant goldfish bowl.
Oh my god, that's funny. But there was was it Zumanity was the show?
Yeah, I haven't seen Zumanity.
There's like a whole scene with like this giant fishbowl and this woman like doing this, like she's like swimming in there, but she's also doing this thing where she's like flipping out of the bowl and back in, and it's just insane. So if you ever get a chance to go see Zumanity,
okay,
interesting show. There's some crazy scenes in that show for sure. And this reminded me of it. Death. Oh, you have the ring leaders Acromonte and some ghosts.
But it's also about, like, you know, what's left behind.
Right.
If life is just a show, then what gets left behind? Because we're not here anymore. So what are the pieces that get left behind? For the ringmaster, it's the hat and the cloak and the little fool's like, I don't know if you can tell, but like the little fool's knapsack is there. So like, you know, it is one of these things of the beginning and is it the end of the journey? No, it's not the end of the journey because there's temperance.
Oh my god, that's really just one of those, like, you can, if you've ever been to a Cirque du Soleil or just like any kind of circus show, you know that moment it was like it's pure dark and all of a sudden blah, this blinding light comes popping on, and then it's like the next act.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking for temperance was like, I was going back into because if some of you know me and you followed me for a while, you know I'm a big history buff. Like, you know, I spent a lot of time in history, and I was thinking about like, you know, that the French, you know, I went way back in French history, and I was thinking about the singers with their tiny little waists and their big poofy hair, and like this whole idea of the connection of the performance to some sort of divine transcendence, which is very similar to one of the scenes in The Fifth Element. So there's a lot of connection between, you know, that time in French history and that scene of the opera singer. I hope, like, if you're my age, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're under 30, you probably have no clue what I'm talking about. But there's this scene in like, The Fifth Element where they're on this spaceship and there's this singer, this opera singer, and she's like having this like, she really to me is like this beautiful temperance moments because everyone stops and they're in the moment and they connect back to that source and that core, and then boom, they like slit her throat or stab her or something. Like and then she's done, right? But it is that kind of like transcendental moment after death where we have this very temporary beautiful experience where the essence of who we are is revealed, and then just like that it's gone.
While the essence of the other character was also revealed.
Because then we land at the devil. Right? But I also wanted, like, again, we're in a circus, it's playful, the dominatrix, the whole thing of who's in control, who's the viewer, who's commanding attention, where does the attention flow, the cages, the little, like, you know, bondage guy in the back, like, it was all part of that narrative of, so we have this beautiful divine essence moment in temperance, and then it's gone. And then, like, to me this is a little bit too of like, have you ever heard people talk about how they have an awakened moment and they're spending the rest of their lives trying to go back to that moment?
Right.
So to be like that, that binds you to a past experience. It was temporary, it was fleeting, you're constantly trying to chase it and go back to it, and the devil's there like, well, I can hold you in this space forever, like I got nothing else going on.
Oh, I love that analogy. Especially
that's what you want. Like, I'm just here to like fulfill your desires. Like, I don't care either way.
I'll hold your chains, you know. You handle those to me. Until
it all gets blown up.
And all gets,
well, you know, the tower's the tower, isn't it? I think like,
yeah, tower's the tower. Let's move on.
Yeah, the tower's the tower. The tower's the tower. So the star in this deck was actually our problem card. So there's a problem card in every deck. There's always a problem child, right? The star was ours. We couldn't quite get it right for this deck, and this was like the ninth or 10th, you know, reinvention of this card because we like just could not get it right. Like, it just wasn't landing. But what we ended up going with was something that was gave hints to religion, gave hints to the New Age, gave hints to mysticism, gave hints to, you know, angelic connection, plus the whole boom of the show. Like, you know, who's the star of the show, the big boom. So it is one of those things where we ended up with multiple layers in this card as opposed to trying to just pull out one, so that people could kind of draw their own need or their own interpretation from this card.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's the fireworks show. Oh my goodness. Then the moon, which is actually
the box.
The cover of the box.
Yeah, and that was actually the first card that was done. That was the submission piece. This one and the Five of Wands.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have the Fool and a Lobster.
Yeah, because everyone just takes their dog and a lobster for a walk every evening under the moon. It's completely normal.
It's completely normal.
It's completely normal. But again, it's that nod to the original, while being playful with the elements and the exploration. The fact that the moon is kind of shy, and we don't really get what the moon's purpose is, or why it's here, or what it's showing us. It's all just a little ambiguous and surreal. And that's what I love about this card, because to me, the moon is like, I've yet to actually come across a card where I'm like, yeah, I finally get what the moon means, because I think it is a really ambiguous, kind of surreal card.
As is the nature of the moon.
Right.
And it's also another nod to the Fool's Journey.
Yes.
I think I need to mute here for a sec.
You've got background noise, people. I can talk about the sun while you're still muted if you like. I really like this because I wanted something that kind of explored more fun aspects of the sun. A lot of the times we're tied to the version of the sun with, the little twins riding on the white horse, rather than diving into the power dynamics of the solar planet. And here I wanted to give more of a nod to the actual, the solar energy, the mass of the sun, the thing that affects us, the energy that we can't, just like the moon, we cannot escape, right? It has a dynamic force. We rely on it for the light for life. We need the vitamin D, but at the same time, it has a bit of a destructive element to it.
I'm laughing because Tony says it's Gerald, because Gerald has a very similar mustache.
Oh.
And in fact, his channel is Tarot Stash. I love that. Sorry for muting. Husband was grinding coffee beans.
Oh, that's all right.
And then Judgment.
She has the hand. Like, stop. Like, just stop. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. Could you please just move on with your life? I've given you your forgiveness. Your slate has been cleared. Stop talking and move on. Like, that's just where she's at.
I love that. And it's the ringleader again, right?
Yep. The Fool's playing the little music with his dogs dancing in the background. He's trying to rally the troops to get them to move on to the next phase. Come on, let's go. You've all been forgiven. You're pure of heart again.
To take the show to the world.
And then you're on top of the world.
Yes. I love this world card. So we obviously don't have time to go through all the minors, but I wanted to actually, before we go through, I pulled out all the wands because that's just one of my favorite scenes of the minors.
The fire.
Well, plus it's just as kind of fitting since it just turned into the year of the tiger.
Oh yeah, and there's the tigers in there.
Yeah. So before we do that, let's do a little expose on. Let's see how I can get all four out. Maybe I won't be able to. But
the reds are hard to show up on camera too.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
The reds and the golds. Yeah.
Let's see if it's a little better.
A little better.
So the thing I love about the courts is here we see the actors who will be playing the courts getting ready. So they are the pages, right? They're not quite ready.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
You can see they have their costumes. They each have their costume. They each have their tool. And it's time for the makeup. So they can then come forward as the knights. I don't know. Let me see if I can. Hopefully I didn't get anyone seasick. And I love how in the knights you see both sides, right? So they are non-binary. Because, you know, coming up, they get to play queens, and the kings by flipping around.
They get to be whoever they want, depending on how they wish to present.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I love how at the beginning, though, it's the actor getting ready to portray.
Yeah.
The three majors, right? Or major court figures.
Yeah, like as I said, it was really the court. I generally start designing a deck from the court cards out. So that's usually how I design my decks. These 16 cards usually set the tone for everything else that's going to come with the rest of the deck. And as I said, because this is a show, this is about performance, this is about expression, personality. It is about being changeable and flexible and fluid, just like a show is. It was important to see if I could express that cohesively within these 16 cards. And I think we did a pretty good job.
You did a fabulous job. When I first saw them, I was a little like, what? What's going on here? I don't understand. And then it clicked. And I was like, oh, of course. They're actors in the show. So they have to portray multiple characters in one outfit.
Exactly. But again, like the biggest story here is us. Is right? Us, right?
The roles we play, right? We are the knight, the queen, the king.
Multiple roles. We don't want to get stuck in one version of who we are. We want permission to be able to express multiple versions of who we are, and we want to be able to do that openly, transparently, with, you know, without our souls having to die a little bit or having to fold ourselves in, hoping for permission from other people. So the whole, as I said, it was a lot to put into 16 cards. It was a lot of like trying to cram that into 16 cards. But yeah, it was really important to me. And actually, we did have to do the queens and the kings a couple of times to get them the way I needed them, because the whole process of this was super, super important.
No, I get it. I could tell this was where a lot of the work was focused on. Because there's so many layers. Like once you get that click, you're just like, oh my God, there's so many layers to this. We're all just actors, right? Trying to play our parts during the day. And what part is it that we're playing today? Maybe we're playing all three throughout the day. Or, you know, playing multiple.
Play multiple, depending on where you are.
And depending on what's going on. And then we have the amazing, well, I just pulled out the ones, but all the minors do this, where it starts with the scene. All right, the reds are really hard, aren't they?
The reds are really hard. We had this discussion when they were going into production. Like our art director was like, these reds and golds are like, oof, they're throwing us off.
They're gorgeous in person, though.
Yeah, in person they're gorgeous.
That's a little, no, it's just, you're right. It just doesn't want to show up proper. Oh well, we'll forge ahead as the act continues. So first we have the ringmaster conjuring the first flame, and then the person who is the wand court all in one, gathers that, and then has assistants helping to continue. What are they building?
Yeah, this whole idea of like creating fire and flame and building energy, intensity, for a very specific purpose, and what that means. And the more intense it gets, the more support we need, the more people around us we need. Like this whole idea of, if you're going to be playing with fire, if you're going to be igniting your passions, your desires, your wants, then the bigger it gets, the more people around you you're going to need to help you feed, maintain, sustain, and grow this. So the fact that we build in intensity through this suit is part of that. Is part of that narrative.
And then it gets kind of out of control, and then the ringmaster reels it in, and it forms what it was supposed to, which is the tiger, which is also the image at the bottom of the box.
Right.
And the show has finished, so the tiger is now a puff of smoke, and she's blowing out her wand. Well,
safety check. That's the safety check card. It's like, once we've played with all that fire, we then have to make sure that we are safe, that everything around us is safe, and that our boundaries are still well set, and then that we, everything is set in a way where we can progress onto what is next.
Of the scenes that were created in the minors, which is your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question, because I haven't actually had a chance to play with this deck much since it's been out, because I've been too busy writing. But for me, like, some of the pentacles are really interesting. The Two of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles is one of my favorite cards. So some of the story of the Pentacles, I think is probably one of my favorite stories, because to me, the Pentacles really are about like the physical nature, the physical and material nature of our journey here on the stage of life. So I kind of really like a lot of those.
I should have. I've been playing with the deck, so it's all mixed up. I should have.
That's fine.
I pulled out the wands because, like, I gotta show that.
You pulled out the wands because they were like, they're my babies. They're my fire babies.
I love those. Which is funny, considering I'm not very fiery in person. The swords are interesting too.
Yeah, the swords are interesting, but again, the swords is for the expression of the show. It's that dreamy, maybe surreal, maybe you can't trust your mind type aspect to the swords. Maybe what you think you know isn't what you know type stuff. Yeah. So a little story about this card is this card was actually done for our art director, who has since retired from Llewellyn. The Ten of Swords is her favorite card. So when we were doing the artwork for this card, we allowed her to refine it kind of any way she wanted to, because this is her favorite card. So this is our little legacy card for Lynn, who we miss terribly, but we know she's enjoying retirement.
Let me organize the pentacles real quick. Wow. Show up.
These cards are like, you have to hold me in your hands to appreciate me.
It's true. And there's so many fine details that I definitely need to hold it up close to see what, like, everything that's going on in there.
Yeah, Josh's art is just incredible.
Ooh, I love that card.
Right, because there's a lot of there's a lot of things in here that kind of look at capitalism, industrialization, um, the difference between human and the machine. There's all this kind of stuff going on here. It's kind of like Blade Runner meets Metropolis meets, RoboCop. It's like one of those things of like it's one of those things where all of the things that we think about and probably take up majority of our brain space here on the planet are these outside materialistic kind of aspirations, desires, the whole thing of comparison and wish fulfillment for physical things. So there is this kind of like layered dystopian capitalism, but not really saying down with capitalism, but getting us to question the whole concept of the material plane.
I just noticed Tony asked, so are the knights learning to express their energies?
They are preparing to and I don't remember what I wrote in the book. I'm sorry. Please don't crucify me for that later on social media for not remembering. I have written 2,200 and something thousand words in the last 12 months. But part of the whole journey of the Knights is, yes, the Knights period are about training. So we've trained for specific parts, and we constantly are sharpening our skills and sharpening our, in the Knights, we're sharpening our mind and our thoughts and our decision making in the Wands, our actions, our reactions, and our strategy. In Cups, it's our emotions. So they're bringing all of that energy of what a knight does, what a knight's job is, what we would think of when we come to the position of the knight in the tarot, as in how are we taking what we've learned as the page and refining it, and then preparing for moving into the Queen and the King. I hope that answers the question.
I got it. So I actually have a surprise. I know there's only 5 people watching, but you're the lucky 5. Because I haven't, you know what? Let us move this. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Here. Up, there. Now we have our own elbow room and stuff. I have an extra copy of the deck. So if you'd like to be entered in a drawing, please write Big Top right now. And I will put together a drawing. I just need to get the website up. It's, let's see, where did I put it? I have too many tabs.
That was my brain last month, not this month.
There we go. I am going to take my phone back. So we will no longer have a table top. I know I can't see anybody right now because YouTube is back up so I can see what's going on here. Apparently, I still have all the names from the last time I did this.
That's so funny.
Okay. I can see on my phone now. Find that. Two so far. Only 2. Anyone else? I guess we can chit chat for a few more minutes.
Yeah, sure.
I know. This is the perfect segue into showing the amazing Soul Cats tarot that you guys just finished with Adam Bowlers of Oak, Ash, and Thorn. Oh, here, let me embiggen you.
Yeah, our beautiful Soul Cats. Look at this box. This box is like, the boxes just keep getting better and better, like for real. But I have to say, like, I'm glad they actually put the bottom of, like, this time we have the card back, like here, because sometimes when I look at the card, I think there's a card stuck in the box.
I know, that happened to me with
I'm like,
I was like, there's something still, oh no, never mind.
I'll be like, oh my God, there's a card stuck in there. Yeah, so our beautiful Soul Cat Tarot is, like, I have a copy. It's not officially released yet, I don't think. This is the guidebook. This is the High Priestess.
No, it's still pre-order.
It's still pre-order. I think they only just got them in at Llewellyn. So, like, this is the guidebook, and again, it is full color. So, like, we have full color.
The guidebooks have been so good lately.
In here with the beautiful cats. So this was a fun deck to do. Like, I had fun with this deck. It was a playful deck. This was something that I got to do that wasn't necessarily, it wasn't deep and philosophical like Cirque. So it was a nice palette cleanse between decks.
Right. Oh, we do have one more. Iridescent Sea.
And between books, I should add, because, like, after I finished Cirque, I wrote 3 books.
You've been writing so many books lately.
I know. and my publishing schedule got kind of shifted around a little bit. So it was one of those things where actually Soul Cats wasn't meant to come out yet. Like, we weren't meant to be working on this, but Adam did the artwork so fast, and due to the pandemic, sales in decks in the new age industry have gone up. So a lot of us who were like mid-career got our contracts kind of shifted around a little bit. So that was another reason that, like, I ended up writing so many books. I wrote 5 publications in 18 months. And 3 of those were just in the last year. So it was, I didn't even register that we changed into 2022 till like a week ago, because I was still on deadlines. So it was like, nope, we're still in 2021. I refuse to accept that we've changed into a new year. But it is one of these things of, but that's the dream, right? The dream is that when you get into publishing, that you get so busy that you don't know what day it is, or if you've taken a shower, or all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it was a really crazy year last year, but from a professional perspective, like, that's the kind of year, like, I've always dreamed of. Now, do I want to repeat it again anytime soon? No. But I was very grateful for it. And it also did show me that if there is a moment in the future where that creative energy really is tumbling out, that I do have the capacity to hold a lot more output than I actually thought was possible.
It's amazing what we're capable of. We just, like, stop listening to that "you can't do it" voice.
Oh no, I hear that all the time. Like, all the time.
Right.
Like, every time I send in a manuscript, like, every time I send in a manuscript, I also send in, like, this very long apology letter. Like, I am so sorry that I botched this entire idea up. I am apologizing that these words are going to have to be viewed by your eyes. Whatever emotional or mental pain I may cause you, I am deeply sorry. Like, there is no ego in my work whatsoever. Like, I hand it in and I'm like, I am really sorry you had to see that. Because I'm like, I don't know if I pulled this off. It's all a little, And you don't know, like, you really don't know how well you've executed an idea until it's in the marketplace, because it really is you guys who let us know that we hit the right notes, that we got the pieces right, that despite everything, we were able to translate what we ourselves were thinking and feeling and really hoping for as we were putting this together. And it's exceedingly hard for decks because they're done in pieces, and the pieces don't come together until they're out, ready to go out in the market. So you never know with a deck, because you do this over here and this over here and this over here and this over here, and then you guys all get it as one finished complete thing not long after we get it as a complete finished thing. So we don't get to fix it if we screwed it up at that point. So it is one of those things where you just never know. And I'm always so incredibly humbled by the fact that it is you, the readers, that allow people like me to keep doing this, because if you hated everything we did, we wouldn't be allowed to do anymore. like that's just the way it is. So I'm always incredibly grateful and incredibly humbled by the fact that I can have these crazy ideas, but they really speak to people out in the world. Like, they speak to real people that I will never see or meet or hug or converse with. And that just means so much to me. Like, that's incredible.
Right. I can't even imagine. It sounds amazing. Yeah. And actually, Tony says, Leeza, you have such an amazing job.
It's not a job. It's not a job. Trust me, if you saw the pay, you'd be like, what the hell?
Okay, so this is the last call for anyone who is here and wants to win a copy of Cirque du Tarot. Unopened, plastic wrap is still on there. Just type Big Top if you want to be entered. I have 3 right now. Let me just check the list again. I have Antoinette, I have Aspasia Raising, and Iridescent Sea. Anybody? Bueller? Okay, so I guess it's between you 3. And how do I get this to do? Let me show you. Is there a post limit?
There's Acorn Moon. Did you see that one?
Acorn Moon. Oh, Acorn Moon. Okay. Let's see. That. Let me find. Let me add Acorn Moon. Okay. Everyone see that?
Yeah. How fancy are you?
Wait. It gets better. Full screen. There we go. And now, click the spin.
Exciting.
Oh, looks like it's Beth. Aspasia Rising. Woohoo! Yay!
Well done.
Okay, now how do I get out of this?
I think you just close. He's like, well, that was fun, but now how do we stop?
Oh, I'm back. Okay, I found this window again. Yay! Thank you. So, Beth, just reach out to me on Facebook. If I think you are friends of mine on Facebook. If not, you can always reach out to me on. There we go. Instagram at Dailey LLC. So if you just want to reach out and send me your address, I will get this amazing deck out in the mail to you. And hopefully someday we will get to talk about cats, maybe?
The cats or anything you want. Anything else that's coming out this year? I've got
all right, your mermaid book is coming out soon.
Yeah, I've got 2 books and a deck this year.
Okay, you're just cranking them out, aren't you?
It seems that, you know, people say that to me all the time, like you must just like be churning stuff out, but like I sit on ideas for like years. Like Cirque was an idea I had for 2 years before I actually did anything with it, and I was actually really hoping I'd never have to make it. So I'm not like one of these people who just sits down and goes, I'm gonna write a book today. No, like I have this like massive idea journal that like there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and like every so often I'll run it through this matrix of mine to see if it's a marketable idea, and I slowly take it through different stages until I feel like it might be ready to be viewed by someone who knows better than me.
So I am responding here because she does not have Facebook or Instagram. And Tony wants to know where we can find you. I know you're on Facebook and Instagram.
And Twitter and LinkedIn.
And all of it.
All of it. Pretty soon to be on Patreon.
Here, Beth, here's my email. And anyone else wants to email me, that's fine. I don't care. Yeah, so on Facebook, it's LR Tarot, is that right? And then Instagram, it spells book.
No, it's the Leeza Robertson.
Oh, you changed it. Okay.
I changed it.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, it's Leeza Robertson. And on LinkedIn, I think it's just my name too.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I went with my name for my YouTube channel and almost everything, because it's just easier.
When I first started Instagram, I didn't know if I was going to stay on it, because I'd actually had been off social media for about 3 years. So it was one of those things where I wasn't sure if I was going to stick around or not. But obviously I am, and my publisher was pretty happy about it. But if you can't find me there, like you can always look at my website, leezarobertsonwrites.com. You can always go there. I do have a website. And but yeah, pretty much you can find me on any social media platform. And as I said, the new Patreon is launching next week, so you'll be able to find me on there too.
Nice. I just realized. Okay, so next week I will be chatting with Carrie Paris about the Relative Tarot.
She is wonderful and such a sweetie.
I look forward to getting to know her. It's the first time I've gotten to chat with her, so I look forward to it. Oh, thank you, Tony. She's helping by putting up stuff, comments there. So what is the new deck that's coming out?
The Soul Cats one.
It's the Soul Cats. Anything after that?
Oh yeah, we have 3 decks in. 3 decks. There's a fairy one. I'm doing a unicorn one. That's a collaborative project with Callista, who wrote Unicorn Rising. And I have an angel tarot that's in the works as well. So there's 3 decks in the works right now.
Cool. Look forward to them. Thank you so much, Leeza. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Beth, just send me your address and I will send you a little care package. So thank you, everyone, and I will see you next week. Thank you, Leeza.
Bye.